On this episode of Andrew Bernard Outdoors, it's the opening weekend of the archery season here in the state of Kentucky for the 2021 season. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. Everybody. Today it is September 4th and it is a little after 7 a.m. here at the Hills property in northern Kentucky. It is the opening day of archery season here in the state of Kentucky, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. It's gonna be a big year and it all starts today. This is the first hunt of the year and man, do we have some of the best conditions for today. Unfortunately, I kind of dropped the ball this morning, I think, as a lot of hunters do on their first day out of the year, but we got good conditions for this set that we're sitting in this morning. We have winds coming out of the south heading north this morning. A lot of those tropic storms that have been hitting the southern border of the U.S. are causing some major weather fronts up north, and that's good for hunting because we got another weather front pushing through this afternoon, so we got high pressure, prefrontal conditions, cool temperatures, good winds for this set because it's hitting me right in the face and putting my scent cone right here in the pond behind me. So that's why I decided, I was like, you know what, we'll stick it out even if we're a little sweaty. We got some acorns falling out of the trees and everything is golden. Should be a pretty good morning. This camera has been really hot. Got a couple 2-3-year-old bucks cruising through this stand that I'm not interested in shooting, but I would love to have an encounter with either one of them. This morning's goal is essentially a doe mission, and it should be a pretty good morning. We're hunting that feed plot that I've had up here at this set for the past 6 years. I didn't want to go sit that food plot. The conditions were better for this stand, and I'm getting better pictures up here of does in the morning. So we slipped up here into the cover of darkness, got everything set up, had some minor setbacks, but we're in the stand. Everything is ready to go. We're dusting the cobwebs off, and we're looking to sling some carbon through a doe this morning. So, guys, stay tuned. It should be a pretty good morning. I'm excited to be back in the stand. I am excited to be back in front of the camera. I hope you guys are ready for an amazing year, and it all starts here. So, let's get to it. I think that about does it for day one here in the state of Kentucky. I'm not exactly sure when I'll be back out. I might try and shoot for maybe a Monday hunt. And if not Monday, I'm for sure going to be back out here next Saturday, so. All in all, like I said, good sit. Oh shit, there's a doe right here. There's a doe right here. There's a doe right here. Well, kind of bummed out here because first deer kill of the year, and I've never done that before. I have never not hit record on the big camera. I literally thought I guess I double clicked it or something when they were right here, because I went back and looked at the scene and the last thing I had was them three standing right there and you can't even see the kill. So I don't know, but we're going to check the GoPro footage really quick and see what we got. Sounded like I heard a crow down and crash, but I don't even have my face mask on. Literally just took my face mask off and I'm sitting here talking to y'all about how I was getting ready to leave and how it was a great day. I look over and there's a doe right there. Big Mom comes out and I sat there and waited. I was trying to figure out which one. I literally let them walk right into the stand because I was trying to figure out which one the fawn was with. Okay, yeah, you can see it. Okay, we got it on one camera. But hey, first doe of the year, one down. We got one more to go for September. All right, let's go down and see if we can find her. Oh. All right, we're down here at the scene of the crime. Stands right there. I shot her right around here. I think I broke the shoulder because I saw the arrow sticking in her. Gotta find blood before I continue to track. There we go. Blood. Guess she went through there. Yeah. I see blood on the other side of the plant. Blood right there. She's not bleeding as bad as I thought she was going to. But I also made a kind of a poor shot on her. It was really high, but it wasn't bad. It was good. I mean, it was forward, but it was a little high. I don't see any more blood. There's no way she made it far though, because I'm telling you, well, this blood trail has been very poor, and it's been very hard for me to find it. But if you look right there, there's some right there on that plant, and then I walked all the way up here because I thought I heard her crash, barrel through some things right after I shot her. And I think there was a fallen tree, and if I look, right here. If you look on that tree, there is just some, right there. There's just a little bit of blood on that tree. There's a fair amount of blood. Oh, okay, there's my arrow. There's my arrow. Arrow's broken. There she is. Hey, how are you? Hey, I think the deer I shot this morning right here in the field crossed and went up here right between. Be fair if I walk up there and retrieve?
Go ahead, buddy. No,
okay,
fine.
cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, easier to get up.
I'll follow the blood until I can't find the blood, and then I'll. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I saw her go up through here.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of them do. Yeah.
I've done everything I can. I really don't. That's the trailhead right there. That grass. There's like a 6-way split right at the top of it. All that switchgrass, and the last piece of blood is right there in the edge of that grass. And I don't know where she went from there. You know, after that hunt, I felt, you know, a lot of emotions and did not feel good, did not sit well with me. There was 2 things that definitely fell back on me in that situation that I could have done differently to have a different outcome. And I'm one of those people that are very hard on myself when it comes to mistakes, especially something that I work so hard at to not fail at, to not make mistakes at. The shot, I have no idea what happened. I literally shoot 3-4 times a week. I've made some really good shots on deer, and the track jobs have always been so good. The blood trail is really good, and there's no suffering when it comes to that. I've done a very good job of making very clean, humane kills in the years past. But in this situation, you know, didn't hit the record button on the big camera, so I wasn't able to go back and look at the footage and really dissect my shot and break down my shot to see where I hit the animal to determine how long I should wait before I go and try and retrieve that deer. And I jumped the gun, and then walking up on the animal, instead of having an arrow in hand and ready to go, like I might have to take another shot at the animal, I'm walking around with a camera in my hand acting like my animal's dead, and I don't even know that for sure. And I ended up pushing and bumping the deer off the property. It went another 200 yards before I lost blood. So initially where the last spot of blood was, it was just a little under 300 yards away from where I shot her. And that just goes to show you, you know, when you bump a deer, adrenaline can make them do crazy things. And I looked and looked and looked. I grid searched that hillside and did everything I possibly could to find the deer, because I haven't lost a deer probably since I was a little kid. You know, my first couple years I started gun hunting was the first time I ever lost a deer, and that was the last time I lost a deer, and that it did not sit well with me leaving the field. So like I said, there was a lot of mistakes that were made there. And at the end of the day, you got to take situations like that and learn from them. Well, after that hunt, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really want to go back out. I was, you know, texting my buddies, guys, I'm going to Nebraska with. I'm like, dude, I'm done hunting until we go to Nebraska. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, I've got to get back out there and redeem myself, and I cannot go into a hunt out of state, you know, with my head hanging low and acting like that, because, you know, stuff does happen, and it happens to the best of us. So just a couple days later, on that following Monday, we had post-frontal conditions from the front that was blowing through that weekend, and I decided to go back out and see if I could redeem myself. everybody. It is September 6th, 2021. It's a little before 7 a.m. This morning I'm back out here at the Hills property for a morning hunt. I hunted out here 2 days ago, which was opening day of archery season for the state of Kentucky. And came close, but I made some mistakes. I made a very, very poor shot, and I have not done that in a very, very long time. I have no idea what happened. The camera wasn't in the way. I had a perfect clear lane right here. I felt centered. I felt anchored well. And the shot was high. I didn't even get a complete pass through, and I have an 80-pound limbo at 15 yards. So you live and you learn, I guess. I don't know. But it's one of those mistakes I'd hate learning on a lesson like that for sure, because it's not a good feeling. But this morning, we're back out here. We got really, really good conditions this morning. I love hunting the mornings in the early season. A lot of guys skip doing that because the bucks move better in the evening, but when you're on doe patrol, morning hunts can be fabulous because you can slip in, shoot a doe, get out before the bucks are even in that area moving. So temperatures this morning are low 60s. By the time I get out of the stand, it should be around the 70 degrees. Winds are coming out of the south today, hitting me in my face, putting my scent gun right here in the pond behind me, just like it was opening day. Guys, stay tuned. Let's see if I can redeem myself and break myself of this curse at the Hills property, because last year I ate all my tags in Kentucky, and this year's not off to a good start, so stay tuned. They don't know that I'm here, they do now. We are about to be covered up in does and deer in general. But that is redemption, ladies and gentlemen. Redemption, redemption, redemption. Sitting there, flipping the camera, and all of a sudden I just catch a glimpse of some feet just underneath of this cover. And out steps a little doe. And I sat there and waited for a little bit because I wanted to make sure she didn't have any fawns with her. And then once I confirmed that, then she's doing this little dance with me where she wasn't giving me a good shot, and finally she stepped out, like right at 15 yards, about the same distance that I shot at yesterday. Probably have to give this place a rest for a couple weeks, because that's 2 days now of coming here and let an arrow fly, but hey, oh, feels good. Shaking like a leaf right now. That was just a little doe. That's how obsessed I am with this sport. Alright, I'm gonna pack up and we're gonna get out of the stand and see if we can go find this deer. When I say that did not take long, that did not take long. I was in the stand this morning at probably 6:15 and I punched that tag and I'm out of the stand by 7:30. I'm gonna let this one sit though. I'm not gonna rush this. We're gonna go down to the truck, drop some things off, and then we'll come back up and look for her. Not much to say. Literally one of the worst starts to a season. I think this is the worst start that I've ever had to a season. And I don't know what I could have done differently in that hunt. You know, I felt like the shot, I don't know, you tell me what you guys think. And we tracked that deer for probably, I'd have to say every bit of 200 yards. Actually, when I cut the cameras off, I actually had my dad come out and we worked on it and we were able to get another 30 yards. So at the time, maybe 30, 40 yards, because at the time I got to about 150 and I just couldn't find blood. So Pops came out and gave me a hand and we looked and looked and looked, and then when we found last blood, it went about an hour before we were like, all right, let's start walking around. So we walked around, went to a couple of the bedding areas, went down a couple of the hollers. I went to the far side of the property in the direction that she was heading and went to both of the pinch points that are over there to see if she might have passed through there. And I could not find a single thing. So what I'm assuming, and I'm not making excuses, because again, this all comes back on me as the hunter. You know, I was the one that let the arrow fly, and I'm guessing because I saw this happen last year. If you look back at my 2020 buck kill in Ohio, I shot that buck with a high lung, but it went through both of his lungs, and for whatever reason, the broadheads did not deploy. And it was a very similar situation that happened with this deer. If you look at that video in slow-mo, I'm getting maybe about an inch and a half entry hole, which on a Rage Extreme, that's a 2.3 inch cut with the blades locked, but you're supposed to get about a 2.5, 2.7 inch slap cut. So the entry hole should have been a lot larger. And what I'm guessing is because I'm shooting the higher poundage limbs, that it's punching through the hide so hard on the entry that it's actually not deploying the blades. And then if the blades are not fully deployed when they enter that animal and they're not locked back, you're going to get ricochet. So what I'm guessing is that with this kill, kind of like what happened last year in Ohio, it might have ricocheted off the rib and that shoulder blade and then kicked it out a little bit further back and caught gut. And that's that. Because if you go back and look at, that's the only thing I can think of. The arrow does look like it got pushed out a little bit further left, but going forward for the rest of the season, I am done shooting mechanical broadheads. It is nothing against Rage. It is nothing against mechanical broadheads. I just think that my setup is shooting way too fast for me to be shooting mechanical broadheads, at least the compound side. A buddy of mine said try the crossbow ones, which I don't understand. None of that makes sense to me, but just doing the math and looking at the outcome that I've had on both the deer that I've shot with the mechanical broadheads, I never had issues with my mechanical broadheads until I switched to an 80-pound bow. Never had issues with them. So anyway, I'm going to switch to fixed blade broadheads. It's already actually been done. I went out to my girlfriend's house the other day and I was actually redid all my arrows, re-sighted it in. I took it in and paper tuned it today. So everything is set back up, scored away. I'm going to go back out later this week with the guys and shoot out to 80 yards and just make sure everything is still solid. Because I also bumped up the grains in the front of my arrow. I bumped up to a 125 instead of 100 grain so that my FOC is a little bit higher, because I am shooting an 80-pound bow and my arrow now is like 540, which isn't even a lot. Because if you see what everyone's trending and doing, building these 600 grain, 700 grain arrows, which I think is insane, but I could definitely handle a little bit heavier of an arrow, so I went ahead and put on a 125 grain fixed blade, and that's going to be the move for the rest of the year for me. So I doubt I'm going to get back out and try and hunt in Kentucky before I leave for Nebraska. I've already shot 2 deer, and I'm sure both of them are dead, and unfortunately I was not able to find either one of them. And like I said, this is the worst start to a season that I've ever had, but things happen, and life is filled with highs and lows, and you cannot let the lows determine the outcome for the rest of your life. You have to get back up on the horse, focus on the good, focus on the positivity, learn from your mistakes, learn from your failures, and become a better hunter, become a better person from them. So that's what we're going to do, but my main focus for the rest of September is Nebraska, and then when we get back, we'll be chasing antlers in Kentucky and Ohio, and we're going to finish out the season strong with the new arrow set up and see what happens. I haven't shot fixed blade since I was in middle school, so this is exciting because I've been literally shooting Rage since I got into high school, and here we are. We switched back, we're going old school, but I wanted to do that anyway, and I'll talk about that on another episode. But guys, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and then again, leave me some comments below. Tell me what you guys think about these shots, please. Negative or good, I want to hear the feedback. I love seeing the responses from you guys. Good or bad, the comments are always welcome. So definitely leave some comments below. Check out all the links in my description below, and I will catch you guys later on the next episode of Andrew Bernard Outdoors.